Now to Tech Watch, it's a new era for autonomous cars here in California. They will no longer be immune to traffic tickets. Plus, Apple has a costly challenge and Netflix is going vertical. Joining us now to break it all down is CNET editor-at-large, Scott Stein. Scott, great to see you. All right, let's start with driverless cars like Waymo. Who do you ticket when there's no driver? How does this work? Does a cop pull them over just like anybody else?
Well, it's basically going to have to be issued to the service provider. So the legislation that's been passed is going to go effect July 1st, and then you could issue noncompliance to afterwards to the operation like Waymo that operates the vehicle, and then they could have their rights revoked, their license revoked, or they could also then have to pay a penalty or be ticketed. I think it's really important that driverless vehicles be held responsible and accountable just like any other drivers to do this. So to me, this feels way overdue. And certainly big tech companies have the money to pay for something like this.
Sure, it'll just be interesting to actually see that in real time, seeing a police officer try to pull over a Waymo, or what that would even look like if the Waymo is sophisticated enough to know if they are the actual car that's being pulled over.
No, I think a lot of times it won't, and it'll have to be something that gets followed up afterwards, and that's still a concern in terms of reports of an emergency situation where the car doesn't comply, or I don't think any of that is going to help solve anything in the immediate moment. It's going to be a punishment that gets applied afterwards. But yeah, I think there is still an ongoing question of if a vehicle is not complying properly in an emergency situation, with an actual driver, you could take a lot more actions than you could with a stalled out driverless vehicle. Yeah,
if you don't pull over, you're evading a police officer, and that's a whole nother level other than just running through a stop sign or a red light.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's going to be explored more, but it would be great to have a much more direct conduit to have some level of immediate feedback with that. But there are going to be ways to ticket.
Yep. Well, we're saying there's going to be more of these on the road in more cities, so they're going to have to come up with a solution to that. Okay, I want to switch to Apple. During Apple's recent earnings call, Tim Cook warned about memory costs. What does this mean for the company and consumers moving forward?
Well, it's been an ongoing thing everywhere with RAM prices skyrocketing and availability of RAM for consumer devices being really strapped because of AI and a lot of the chips going towards AI, cloud servers and other things like that. This is something between that, tariffs still, and oil prices going up. Prices have been in flux all over the place. But it looks like, much like many other companies, Apple may be facing questions with that pretty soon. Right now, Tim Cook was saying, and Apple was saying, that a lot of the prices haven't needed to go up because the supplies of their own products and chips have already been pretty deep. But come June, they may have to reevaluate that. The products that they were mentioning included the iPhone, but also a lot of the Mac products, which have already been hard to find because a lot of those, like Mac Mini, have been really popular and snapped up for people who are running AI services on them. They become like a really popular small computer for that.
Well, speaking of handheld devices, Netflix focusing now on the small screen with vertical video. What are they offering, and why are they focusing on this right now?
Yeah, so this didn't show up on my app when I was looking around for it yet, but Clips is vertical video, and Netflix had been doing this before, but it's a push for Netflix to be watched, I think, on phones, because I was just talking about this with someone that you may not watch Netflix on a phone because you don't want to watch it in horizontal, but you might be scrolling TikTok or something else. So a lot of this stuff will be maybe supplemental information and interviews or bonus pieces. And Netflix is also getting into podcasts. I kind of feel like this stuff is inevitable, though, because it's basically kind of like all the extra features that you'd normally be used to with stuff that you watch anyhow, but they're trying to make it more watch on the go friendly. Maybe it's stuff you pick up and watch on the way to watching the next episode when you're back at home.
Scott Stein, always good to see you.
Good to you too.